Hello and welcome to the fourth session of Madhubani Painting just for the beginners. To watch this same video in Hindi, check the link in the description box below. So before we begin, I will quickly summarize what are we going to learn today. So this is just a practice session where we learn how to sketch motifs in the easiest way possible. So I'm going to show you basically some techniques to sketch motifs in different ways and different styles of Mithila or Madhubani. And in the end, we will see how to basically fill in colors in different ways. So I'll basically give you some tips and tricks to sketch the motifs and also to color them. So today's topic is birds. So we will learn to sketch birds in different ways in Madhubani style. So without further ado, let's begin with the session. Even though the material is not that relevant for this video, I'll just tell you that I'm using a simple paper and a marker to draw the motifs. As this is a practice session, we are just going to see the techniques to sketch the motif. We are not going to make a painting. So, as the topic is the birds, I will begin with drawing first a circle on the paper, as you can see. For the face, a simple circle. So inside the circle, we draw a tiny circle, which is the eye of the bird. So this is basically the easiest way to make a very simple motif of a bird in Madhubani style. For the beak, we use a triangle. Now, in this kind of beak, we can either leave it just plain or divide it in the half as you earlier saw, or we can just make a beak which is just a little open. If you have to show a bird which is singing in the garden or in woods, so you can make it a little open, or maybe she's eating something. So this is another type of beak. Now same for the open beak. As you saw, I colored once, and once I did is just use those fine lines for the shading. So these are different types of beaks that you can do in a bird. Now coming to the body of the bird, like we made very simple circle, for the body you have to just join the circle with a leaf-like pattern. So this is the simplest bird you can make, with the wing attached to it and some pattern to fill inside. Now these type of birds you might have seen, or you can easily use to make on a tree of life. So if you're making a tree of life and you want to show some simple birds, so this is one of the most easiest motif which you can make. Now, for the similar type of bird, we will create in a little bit different style. So we will make a similar bird, but a little different. So we just repeat the same, make the circle and make the eye, make the triangular beak. And now for the body, what we do, we just add is a neck. So before we didn't have a neck, we just connected the body to the face. Now we add a neck and the same leaf-like pattern, just giving it a curve on the down side, and the wings also a little differently. So this is basically a variation, if you see, from the motif one, but yet it gives a completely different look to this bird. So this is another type of bird that you can do. Now for the claws also, this is just a simple triangle you can use, or as we saw in the part 1 or the variation 1. So this is same design, filling inside the body. Now for also when you start filling in colors, these tiny patterns that you see that I'm making, these circles in a triangle, once you fill in colors, they basically highlight the motif, highlight the bird, and it also adds the flavor, the flair of Madhubani. So for the third type of bird, we will do similarly the circle for the face or the head, and the eye just similarly as we did both the times. So this remains the same except for the body and the beak and the wings that we'll see. So for the body, what you have to do is just below the eye, create like a pot, just like you are making a pot. So this is basically again designing the same design and then adding a beak on the top here, not on the side, as we saw. Now here one more addition is the tail of the bird, which is again a very simple structure added just below the pot-like body that we made. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade it every alternate part of the tail, and in between the blank spaces will be left, which will be later filled in with color. So these shading effect is also a very common feature, which is a very common type or technique style that is used for Madhubani. For the wings, we just created simple curves and joining it with the body with another kind of semicircular curvy pattern. So this is basically adding wings, so it looks more or less like a bird which is flying. The wings are totally spread. So this is another type of bird which you can make in Madhubani style, filling in the same pattern that we use for the bird number 2. So these three are the basic birds that you can make in Madhubani style, the easiest techniques and tricks to see how to make them. Now, if we talk about birds, we have to see the motif of peacock, which is most commonly used in Madhubani painting, as you may have noticed. So similarly, as we learned for all the birds, the face remains the same here as well, just changing the beak a little bit, adding little curves to the triangle. Now this bird is also going to have a neck, as it is a peacock, a little bit longer rather, the neck, and the body has to be again leaf-like, joint with the neck, as you see. Now the peacock always has a nice and beautiful tail. So here you have to add just like a balloon-like structure to the body that looked like a leaf. Now just adding the balloon to the back side of the body, connecting it to the center. So this is how you make a balloon-like structure. Now here I'm just trying to do the double lines. So many times people ask when to do exactly double lines. So this is basically depends on your design, and this is basically what aesthetics you want for your design. So there is not a specific rule that here you have to use double line, here you don't. So this is basically, it comes with experience. Once you start making more and more, you will exactly know where to do the double lines and where not. So again, trying to add more design, more patterns to the neck of the peacock, as you can see here. So these patterns again belong to all the different patterns that are used in Madhubani. So basically you may have noticed a lot of geometric patterns. As I always say, Madhubani painting has a lot of geometric pattern. Again, similarly for the body, I'll show you a very, very nice pattern which looks very beautiful, is here I'm going to use. So basically creating checks and everywhere connecting it with curves, so it looks like flowers later. So see, such easy motifs with easy techniques, with easy geometric patterns, you can create it freehand, and that is what is supposed to be like. You don't have to use a pencil here or eraser. You can just directly draw it with your brush if you're using, or the nib that we use for Madhubani painting. So this is basically a practice session, as I before said earlier also I said it, and you can practice these motifs at home multiple number of times. Also many times, the double line doesn't come perfect. So for these motifs to come out perfect, you need a lot of practice. So these practice sessions are meant for you to practice, because next time, depending on these sessions, we make a painting. Whatever we learned in this session, we are going to make a complete painting. So it will make things easier if we are ready, if we have practiced a lot of motifs, then we can make a very beautiful complete painting which you can use for decorating your home or whatever purpose you want for. So here we added just the structure to the head as well, and we are making the body beautiful with tiny flowers, these motifs. Now for the body, we can use different types of structure. We use this as a balloon structure. Now for the same body, you can have a completely different structure, like a curve, and joining it with multiple curves in a very nice, unique fashion way, which makes it also very beautiful, and a different kind of filling inside, like the motif that we use to fill in the balloon is different than what we use here. Now another kind of structure is kind of a leaf again. So the body is also the leaf, and also the tail looks like a leaf. So it's basically also another type of design. So we have seen 3 designs here of the body, and also 3 different patterns to be filled inside. Now these patterns, when you filled inside, are basically for all the paintings where we are going to fill in color. So that is why the patterns are not too many. But if you want to fill only patterns, if you want to make a Kachini style of painting, so there is a different type of patterns that we can fill, just like as you see on your screens here, filling it with some dotted lines, or maybe a dot and a dash, a dot and a dash. Such kind of a pattern also can be filled to make the tail. So this is basically the two different types. So one is by filling pattern, so which is the design for pattern is for kachni, which is a different style of Madhubani, where we fill the entire motif with patterns. And this designs what we saw 1, 2 and 3 is for filling colors, so which is called bharni. So moving on, we will start with another type of bird, which is also a little different than what we saw before. So here we are not going to make the whole circle for the face. We are just going to make incomplete circle, and how we will connect it to the neck, just making a big curve down, and again from the other end also a little line, and then trying to make the same leaf-like pattern, and then creating the tail of the bird. So basically, very easily you can sketch those motifs if you know the rules of it. So here, this is another kind of bird that we can easily sketch with simple tricks. So again, doing the double lines here. So here joining the body, again trying to do the double lines. So this is how it's going to be, and trying to make the beak a little longer as the bird is a little bigger in size. So again, you have to also take care of the proportion. If your bird is bigger in size, of course the beak and the tail and the other parts will be bigger in size. Also the claws you note here, it's a little different than what we learned before. So there are also 3 different types of claws that I showed you for the birds, which you can use. So again, for the tail, we are just trying to create some lines. So once we fill in colors, these lines basically create that white space which adds to the beauty, and that is also adds to the flavor of Madhubani, as Madhubani is supposed to have intricate patterns and designs filled inside. So here I'm just trying to create another big floral motif. So this is one of my favorite motifs. It looks very beautiful in any design that you use. And then again, we move on and fill the same pattern for the wings. So this is basically another type of bird that we saw, completely different from all the others that we saw earlier. So this is our number 5. And we move on to the last but not the least, another motif, again using my circle for the face, and joining a little neck and the body like a leaf, and trying to add the tail. So remember, we saw similar kind of tail for the bird number 3. So this is again a different type of bird with a tail. So I'm trying to create a different kind of wing. So we saw a number of designs for different parts of the bird. We saw a number of designs for the neck, for the wings, for the tails. So this will help you decide and practice different designs, and this will also help you understand what all designs can be used and what all motifs can be used to create different types of birds. So this is basically filling those tiny flowers inside, and also doing those fine lines, the shading effect that we create with those fine lines here. And this is our bird number 6. So these are basically all the motifs that we sketched, and we begin with filling in colors. So this is just to give you an idea of the colors and how and where exactly we have to fill in colors to give it that flavor, to give it that look. So basically today I'm going to use just 3 colors. So I'm showing you how differently you combine and use the same colors for different birds. So it is basically blue, pink and orange that I'm using. So here, as you saw in the body, I completely filled it with blue, just leaving that part where we created the design as white, because that is how it's supposed to be, and that's how it adds the beauty to the pattern. So we don't have to also overdo with colors. So we exactly need to know where we are going to fill in color and where we are going to leave it white, so that the exact beauty, comes out. It is highlighted once your painting is done. So this is the one of the cutest birds complete after filling in the 3 colors. Now moving on, and I'll show you again using the same colors how you can do the other bird. So I'm here using the blue for the wings, not for the body like I used for the other bird, but just trying to show you the same color combination, how you can use it differently. So here when you use the blue, and here as we drew those patterns, these tiny circular patterns that we used in the body of, or the wings, the wings of the bird. So as you see, I'm not filling there the colors. Those are going to stay white because that is going to be the motif which highlights my painting, and that is exactly how it is done in Madhubani. So this is again filling it with blue paint everywhere on the wings. So this is exactly where we cover it with blue and leaving those tiny white to highlight my work. And then again moving on to the next color and trying to fill orange in the tail. So again, as I said before, those blank spaces that I left are for the colors, and those alternate places where I highlighted or where I filled it with fine lines. So now see the difference. When you see it with those fine lines, it makes a difference. It looks really beautiful, the colors. So this is again filling pink. So the same combination used for bird number 1 and bird number 3, but in 2 different ways. So this is how you can also use when you are making a painting of a bird in different ways. What is to be noted for both the birds, that the beak designs are different. So for bird number 1, what we did was half with color and half with shading. Here we have to completely fill it with color. So either you can do is completely fill it with color, or maybe just leave a little white space in between. So if we had the double lines in the beak in between, that also looks really beautiful and highlights it. So basically just showing you different ways to do it. Now coming to our peacock, which is also looks very nice once filled it with color. So we start with orange here, as you see in the body. Now here we have to just fill in the orange in the gaps that are created by the pattern, not inside the pattern. So those patterns that are created are going to remain white. So we are just going to fill the orange in the gaps in the body. So as you can see on your screens, we will just fill the orange here in the gaps. And then we will move on to the next color after finishing the orange. So we are again using the same color combination. So I'll just show you with the same color combination what can we do, what magic we can create. So for the pink, I'm using for the flower that we created in the tail. And this is how we do it. And also the pink for the part that was attached on the head. So that's also pink. And the beak. So I also plan my colors in advance. Whenever I make a painting, which I can also suggest you to do that, always plan your colors in advance. I'll always know where you are going to put the colors exactly. So now moving on with the blue. So I'm going to add the blue. So now as you see, like the blue adds and highlights the whole painting once you add blue to it. So it's basically the magic of the colors. So once you know the combination right, and once you also know where you're going to put those colors, you have to little bit think in advance when you are doing any painting. And that is when you decide where to put the colors. And that is when you also get an experience which colors go well with which colors, whatever colors that you're using, the color combination basically. So this is also 2 different things that are also very important for any type of painting that you're making. This is how it highlights. Now, as you see also in the tail that we made for the peacock, those white flowers, I left it completely white. Those flowers that I created, it is completely white. Just a background has to be filled because that is where the motifs highlight and that is where the design of Madhubani gets highlighted. So just the background has to be completely filled with blue, not those flowers that we created inside. And we are doing it for every pattern or for every design that we created. So this is again just quickly finishing it completely with blue so that you can get basically a look of the peacock. So this is how we did it. And similarly for all the designs, we are going to fill the background. Just similarly, whatever you saw for the peacock right now. So now adding some pink, so also makes it beautiful. Now moving on to our next bird, which is the 5th number bird, which also I find really interesting. And the design is also very unique and we learned something new. So also filling the body this time with orange. And here for the body we kept it plain. We didn't create any design, just the big flower, which I'm going to fill it with blue. And I know that blue looks good with both orange and pink. So as I said, also plan your colors in advance whenever you are trying to fill in colors. So I'm just giving you examples, basically some tips how you can fill in colors, how you can play with colors for your different types of birds or whatever motif you are making. So these are basically just trying to practice it at home, trying to master the technique, trying to once you fill in colors, you have to be very careful about those tiny designs that you created. The color should not go inside. So these are basically for you to practice at home so that we can make a very beautiful painting next time when we meet next week. So this is another type of color combinations with same color, just playing with colors differently. So as I said before also, very important is color combination. So for that you need a little experience, or what you can do is maybe on a rough sheet always try 2 colors and see if it looks good together or not. And plan the colors. So whatever color you are using, for example, if you have a set of colors, you know what you are using. So always plan that, for example, I will put here, say pink on the wings. Now for the body, it doesn't have to be then again pink. I will put blue, a contrasting color. And then for the tail, orange. So I always do the same for any of my painting that I make. Always plan the color in advance and always know the color combinations right. So so that it blends and coordinates well once the whole painting is made. So basically these are the coloring tips that I can give you. So thank you guys so much for being with me for this session. Thank you for watching this video. Do give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and do share this video with your friends. And I will see you again next week where we make a complete painting. Thanks. Bye.